And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
David, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. You called in first and early. Welcome. You're first up.
Thank you, Bobby. I have a 2005 Chevy Suburban, and it has I believe a 5.3 liter motor in it. And my problem is when we're driving, it will lose power for a half a second or a tenth of a second, like it's run out of fuel. I've had both the fuel filter and the fuel pump replaced, but it continues to have this problem. Also, when I go to start it, I have to turn the key on, basically wait for the radio to come on and start, and then I can crank it. If not, it doesn't crank immediately like it used to.
Wow. So when you say you have to wait for the radio, so you turn the key on to the run position, and if you were just to normally turn the key, of course, you put the key in, turn it to the run, and then on past the run to the crank mode, and it cranks fine, but it doesn't run. But if you turn it, it doesn't start. But if you turn it to the run mode and wait long enough for the radio to come on and then go to the crank mode, it starts. Is that what you're saying?
That is, sir.
Wow, that's really strange. That leads me to believe that there could be an ignition switch problem, but it leads me to say that. I don't believe that.
Okay.
What I believe is that you have an ignition module or an engine control module that has to have time to boot up. And when I say boot up, those devices are instantaneous. There's no hard drive per se in them, but there are a lot of relays, and the main power relay gets its power. So if you turn the key on, there has to be some, like as I said at the start of the program, everything starts with the battery. So the battery power goes from the battery to the main connectors and the main fuse blocks and boxes and relays. I'm trying to think of what I could recommend that you have a shop do. Can you duplicate this, or is it one of those every once in a while kind of events?
Every time.
Oh, every time.
Yeah.
So you could go out to your car right now and go directly to the crank mode, and it wouldn't start. But if you went and took your patience and were patient and went to the run mode and counted 5 seconds or 2 seconds and then cranked it, it would crank start.
That's correct.
Well, that's strange. That's really weird. The only way that...
later in the day, it gets better, I believe.
Yeah.
It's my wife's vehicle, so I'm not in it very, every day.
Well,
but, every time I do it in the morning, it does it.
Does the check engine light ever come on?
The only code it's ever thrown, or the check engine light that's ever come on, is a EGR valve.
Right.
And I had that replaced.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I would do. I would take it to a shop and leave it one. I would have the same conversation with a technician, a master technician. And when I say a master technician, anymore, I mean, at one time, ASE, Automotive Service Excellence, Master Automotive Technicians, were the goal. And I say the goal, many technicians said, well, and shop owners, at dealerships, independents, you name it, that was just a certification that we strived to achieve by tests and what have you. That's no longer the goal. It is a requirement today. And I think that, and I don't think, that's the first time I've ever actually shared that on the broadcast, because we have 4 technicians, 3 of which are ASE certified, and the latest technician that we brought on board has just finished his 20th school in the last 2 months. And we're all proud that he's going to these schools. And of course, the company supports him and pays for those schools. But as we go forward, especially this is 2014, and the cars that we work on have 25 modules. Your Suburban has 25 modules on board. That's what the average car has. You may have 20 or 18 or 30, but the bottom line, these modules are black boxes that are all connected. I did a show on black boxes, I don't know, six weeks ago or so, and I was amazed at how many different modules there were that control things. So what I'm going to suggest for you, I presume that you're calling from Alabama. I presume that you live in Mobile. Is that correct?
I live in Baldwin County, right in between.
Yeah.
You and
I would definitely. You can. Let me give you a website, asashop.org, and ASA is the Automotive Service Association, of which I've been a member for 30 years, I guess, or longer. And the ASA shop members are, as a rule, dedicated to a higher level, a higher degree of automotive service and repair. The days of opening a toolbox and buying a toolbox and saying that you're a technician are over. And so seriously, and to that end, there was a time, an era, when we changed and shifted from old technology, analog technology, to digital. And at that time, the cars didn't have the computers on board, so they really weren't as easy to talk with, to communicate with, as they are today. But today, there are ways that you can test, and we're seeing that more and more. And I'll give a big kudos, and I've mentioned him many times on the air, Terry Elm. I'll mention Terry Elm again because we watch him on a weekly basis find problems by testing. And his latest challenge is an older Cadillac Eldorado that we just put an intake manifold gasket on. That is a really nice car, and we let it idle after we got it back together, and it idled. Then it went whoop and just went dead. So bottom line for you: go to asashop.org, find an ASA master technician, and take your car in and have them test it. Be prepared to leave it, and I'll be back.